New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, there's a crisis at the border. There's been a crisis at the border for weeks. And instead of addressing the crisis, instead of having a hearing in the committee, Democrats have passed bills that defund the police, restrict American Second Amendment liberties, and federalize election law. And not one of those bills, by the way, not one of those bills went through committee. In fact, the Judiciary Committee, 74 days of this Congress, the full Judiciary Committee is yet to have a hearing on anything. We've asked to have a hearing on the border crisis, the real crisis. We've asked to have a hearing on cancel culture, the attack on people's First Amendment liberties. We've asked to have a hearing on conservatorships. No full committee hearing this entire Congress, but they can pass bills to defund the police, restrict American Second Amendment liberties, federalize election law. And now, while there's a crisis on the border, they bring a bill to the floor that gives amnesty to 3 million illegal aliens. 74 days of the 117th Congress, the Democrats have taken away the Republicans' right to offer a motion to recommit. They've kicked Marjorie Taylor Greene off the committee. 2 Democrats wrote a letter trying to cancel Fox News, Newsmax, One American News. The Democratic chair of the House Administration Committee compiled a dossier on 140 Republican members, and they're preparing to steal an election from Republican Congresswoman Miller Meeks. And today they're going to pass a bill, try to pass a bill, which, as I said before, gives amnesty to 3 million illegal immigrants. We've got gang members crossing the border. We've got people whose name is on the terrorist watch list crossing the border. We've got COVID-positive illegals crossing the border. 100,000 encounters with foreigners on the border in February alone. Housing illegal immigrants in the Dallas Convention Center. And the administration sending FEMA in to help, even though they refuse to call the crisis a crisis. They're sending in the disaster agency to help with the situation. If that's not a crisis, frankly, I don't know what one is. A crisis that President Trump 2 months ago told us was coming. I want to read what President Trump said in January. 2 months ago, this is what President Trump said. If our border security measures are reversed, it will trigger a tidal wave of illegal immigration, a wave like you've never seen before. Boy, was that accurate. If our border security measures are reversed, what has the Biden administration done? They placed a moratorium on deportation. They ended the Remain in Mexico program, and they've stopped building the wall. I think that's a reversal. I think that's a reversal of the measures that were put in place. And what did it trigger? A tidal wave of illegal immigration, a wave like you've never seen before? It sure did. The tidal wave is here, and the Democrats' answer is amnesty. Wow. Such a deal for the American people. Such a deal for the American taxpayer. Democrats' answer: defund the police, attack Second Amendment liberties of Americans, federalize election law, try to cancel Fox, Newsmax, One American News, compile a dossier on Republicans, kick one congresswoman off of her committees, and try to take an election from another, all while they are creating a crisis on the border, and then respond to it all with what? A bill that gives amnesty to 3 million illegal immigrants. That's what this legislation does today. I hope we vote no. I hope we can stop this legislation. This is not what the American people bargained for. This is not common sense, and I hope we defeat this measure. I reserve the balance of our time.
Gentleman from Ohio reserves. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Good. Yeah. Well, I switched machines. I'm on a new machine, so I guess we're back, and I think we're okay.
We're still not okay because we wanted to share a video.
I'd love to see a video. I love videos. Right. I don't know anything about any permission being asked or not asked or anything else.
We're not able to show it, Mr. Chairman. I mean, we'd like to.
What is the video? Give me an idea.
It's a video of people objecting on January 6, 2017, to the counting of the electors when President Trump won on January 6, 2017.
Well, I have no idea. I don't know anything about that, but the fact is that's not really particularly, and I don't mean to be argumentative or anything, Mr. Jordan, but that's not relevant. We're not going into anything that happened with any of that stuff.
Not relevant? The chairman of the House Administration Committee just released a 2,000-page report going after 140, not part of this hearing? You got to be kidding me. 140 some Republicans?
That's the House Administration Committee, not us.
That's not part of. That's not part of this hearing, and I don't really know.
Well, she's a member of the Judiciary Committee.
She's not a member of this subcommittee, and as you well know,
she's a member of the Judiciary Committee.
So what? That doesn't mean she's not a member of the subcommittee.
Well, Ranking Member Johnson just read a letter talking about this very issue. This is entirely relevant. That report comes out a few days ago, and you have this hearing this week. Just coincidence?
The report we
Let me suggest if some technical difficulty is preventing that video, why don't you just describe the video so we understand it, and let's proceed.
I'll read my statement. President Biden campaigned on a promise of unity, but Democrats in the House, like Chairman Lofgren, are putting together reports that attack Republicans, over 140 Republicans.
Mr. Jordan,
Let's be clear. Chairman Lofgren's report is a 2,000-page.
We can't see you now. I can't. Camera gone out.
I can see him fine.
I can't see him, and I can't see anybody other than myself now. I see Mr. Jordan has just popped back on.
I mean, this has just been, it took us 30 minutes to get on to it was such a mess. I mean, this is a comedy of errors, this whole hearing. Democrats in the House, like Chairman Lofgren, are putting together reports that attack Republicans. Chairman Lofgren's report is a 2,000-page political opposition dossier put together at taxpayer expense. Think about that. Taxpayer dollars used to target fellow members of the United States Congress. Chairman Cohen went on television and accused without evidence Congressman Boebert of helping criminals storm the Capitol without a bit of evidence. Other Democrats have filed frivolous resolutions to censor or expel Republican members.
Mr. Jordan, would you yield for a minute?
So much for unity. Be happy to yield to the chairman.
Thank you. This has never been made clear. All I said on television is I saw Miss Boebert going with a group of people in the tunnel. I then said I didn't see anybody involved in the insurrection, and I also said this very well may have just been the historical record of her getting sworn in for the first time, and people wanted to go see it.
Come on. You said
go to CNN, Jim. Go to CNN, and you'll see that.
How about I read your? How about I read your quote? She's not on the home team. She was with the visitors. How about that quote?
That she's not on the home team. When you tweet 1776, you're not on the home team. But that doesn't have anything to do with her leading the insurrectionists. I said she specifically could have just been going up there for a celebration.
You know what? You know what you did, Mr. Chairman. Other Democrats have filed frivolous resolutions to censor or expel Republican members.
Go on with
so much for unity. Was it my time, or are you just going to run the whole thing? Is it my time?
It's your time to you continue with your calumny.
Excuse me, I didn't hear what you said. Continue with what?
Your calumny.
Oh, well, I'll continue with presenting the truth. These same Democrats spent 4 years accusing President Trump of colluding with Russia, allegations we knew at the time were false, and now the whole country knows are completely false. 19 minutes, Mr. Chairman, 19 minutes into President Trump's term, the Washington Post read a headline, quote, "The campaign to impeach President Trump has begun." President Trump wasn't even done with his inaugural address, and you guys were working with the media to impeach him. And of course, the video I wanted to play talks about what happened on January 6th. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just read from it. I'll read from the Congressional Record. Congressional Record, House of Representatives, Washington, Friday, January 6, 2017. Mr. McGovern, Mr. President, I object to the certificate from the state of Alabama. Mr. Raskin, state of Florida, he objected to. Ms. Jayapal, Mr. President, I object to the certificate from the state of Georgia. Ms. Lee, Mr. President, I object to the state of Michigan. Mississippi, Ms. Jackson Lee, Mr. President, I object. Mr. Grijalva, Mr. President, I object to the certificate from the state of North Carolina. Ms. Jackson Lee, Mr. President, I object to the state of North Carolina. Ms. Jackson Lee, I object to the votes from South Carolina. Ms. Jackson Lee, Mr. President, I object to the votes from Wisconsin. Ms. Maxine Waters, the state of Wyoming, is there one United States senator who will join me in this letter of objection? So Democrats, think about this. January 6, 2017, the chairman of the Rules Committee can object to Alabama, a state President Trump won by 30 points.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You need me?
Yeah, you should probably mute though, Mr. Chairman, so I can while I'm talking. Again, one more comedy of errors in this committee hearing. Mr.
The biggest
Raskin, the lead impeachment manager, can object to Florida in 2017, and Maxine Waters, chairwoman of the House Financial Services Committee, can object to Wyoming, a state that President Trump won by 40 points. But somehow Republicans, Mr. Chairman, aren't allowed to object to Pennsylvania. Aren't allowed to object to Pennsylvania, where they changed the law. No, give us some objective standards versus when certain things get reached, we might be able to get back to having our liberty. When? What are the numbers?
You're going to see a gradual, right now we're at an unacceptably high level. On a daily basis, it's unacceptably high, regardless of who you are. What you're going to see as more and more people get vaccinated, and we get over 3 million people a day, you're going to see the level of infection come down, and gradually there will be more flexibility for doing the things that you're talking about.
Where does it get to? When it comes down, what number do we get our liberties back? Tell me the number. Tell me the number.
When 90% of the members of Congress get vaccinated.
But you're not a doctor, Mr. Clyburn. He is. What is the number?
I can't
Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Clyburn. Thank you.
Chair now
for giving me the
recognizes
time.
for 5
I'd
minutes.
like my question
Ms.
answered.
Maloney.
I don't want.
Reclaiming my time.
I want a
Reclaiming my
question.
time.
Regular order. Regular order.
No,
It's
Just a moment.
for all.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want you to answer my question. The American people want Dr. Fauci to answer the
Well-
question.
But
What
you
does it
can't
have to be?
expire, sir. If you need to respect the chair and shut your mouth.
Don't worry about this. We're going to handle this. And I think Mr. Jordan knows me very well. And he knows full well that we're going to handle this. Your time has expired, and the chair now recognizes
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Maloney.